Here's what the middle of the Western Conference standings look like entering Saturday. Our Basketball Power Index says things are mostly settled in the West with the Lakers, Warriors, Grizzlies, and Spurs as the likely play-in teams. But still got some games to play. Start with the Warriors at home in San Francisco facing the Thunder for the second time in 3 days.
Damian Lillard, number 3.
Okay.
James Harden, number 2.
Okay.
All right, because we ignoring injuries and all of that stuff. We just talk about what we've seen from people this season. And obviously Steph Curry, number 1.
Well, number 5, I'll put CP3. I think he's number 4. I have Dame, and Steph has to be above Dame because Dame has, carried a big load this year, started to tail off. Steph stayed hot. James Harden is as good a point guard as has ever existed this year until he got hurt. He was already great. He took his game to another level. And the reason I do have LeBron James, even if he says he's in decline, even LeBron in decline is better than everyone else. Maybe. But they're going to have to prove it in the playoffs. Harden will have to prove it in the playoffs to have me put him ahead of LeBron. Here's why I put LeBron on and not Luka, Stephen A. You said you're not going to include forwards. Luka's a forward. Because I'm taking guys who initiate the offense, who are the primary ball handlers, playmakers, and who guard the other teams, at least one player in the other team's backcourt. LeBron, I've seen shut down a prime D Rose as an MVP.
For a player two?
No, I've seen LeBron shut down elite guards in playoff games. That's not Luka. Now, Harden's not a great defender, but he does defend guards. Everyone on my list defends backcourt players routinely, initiates their offense, and is the primary ball handler playmaker. I think LeBron James is not only the greatest point guard today, but in fact, he is the guy who has replaced Magic as the greatest point guard of all time. If you're making your all-time list, you put LeBron at the point.
Well, listen, if you're doing that, I'm not going to knock you for that. I understand it. It's just that when they were looking after they lost Ronda, they went out and they got Dennis Schroeder for a reason. You understand? Because he's essentially your point guard and somebody to take the pressure off LeBron when you don't want LeBron hampered with those obligations all the time. Whereas when you look at Rick Carlisle in Dallas, he said, I came to my senses when I interviewed him and asked him this question. He said, what the hell were we doing, Luka's rookie year? What were we doing that was wrong? We didn't put the ball in his hands and let him run our team. He's our point guard, his exact words. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's the only reason I don't have LeBron on the list. That's it. Yep. Okay. I look at James Harden. He's a scorer. Remember, Kyrie's supposed to be a point guard, but he's your off guard this year because James Harden is a point guard. So you see what I'm saying? We understand it. So again, we know who the talent is and we know what they do. But I'm just talking about in terms of this year, what you're seeing from people who actually are listed as playing the position and running the offense, both, not just running the offense, but playing the position and running the offense. You designate them as your point guard. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. And because he's such a marksman, combined with his extraordinary movement without the ball, combined with his ball handling skills, AI, Allen Iverson, Matt Kellerman, called me the other morning at 8 o'clock in the morning.
What's AI doing up at 8 in the morning?
You'd be surprised. My brother's doing all right. But let me tell you this right now. He gets up. He said, Steph is different. he was all stuttering there. Steph is different. He's just different. I mean, damn. Because that's how you marvel at the greatness of this dude that he loves. Remember, AI loves Russell Westbrook. But we're seeing something. This is we talk about once in a generation. We have never, ever seen a Steph Curry. Ever.
But guys,
ever. We have never seen it. And then you got Dame, and we know what a clutch player Dame is, and James Harden, Luka, CP3 is having an MVP, top 2 MVP candidate caliber year.
I don't agree with that.
So I don't know how you can't agree with that.
Top 5, arguably top 3. Look, I'll say this. You're giving Harden the short shrift here. Harden does not shoot it like Steph, as you said. No one in history ever shot it like Steph.
Right.
And Harden has fallen flat deep in the playoffs too often. But right up until that point, Harden has been MVP caliber every single year. And unlike Steph, he's the one dude this year. Tell me even one other player who ever lived who can run your offense like Harden, who has the court vision of Harden, the judgment of James Harden, the passing ability of James Harden with the ability to score from anywhere, get to the paint, free throws, three-point shot. Tell me one other player who does every single thing on Harden level. If he had succeeded already deep in the playoffs, it would be a wrap. But as is, Stephen A., I think that Steph Curry's shooting does not. James Harden took a much inferior team and came that close to beating Steph Game 7.
Stay with me, because I want to be very, very careful about what I'm saying here. Because I'm not you. I believe in James Harden. You like him, and you like what you've seen, but you point out what he's done in the playoffs. Right. I'm not as hard about him in the playoffs the way that you are, because I've seen what he's been up against, and I didn't see him completely tank and fall apart. Only one year when he didn't show up in the Game 6 against San Antonio. Having said all of that, this is what I would tell you. Max Kellerman, I watched Brooklyn. And to watch the game today and what they record as an assist. I mean, I've seen them give dudes assists. I pass it to Max. Max passes it to Molly, and Molly shoots and scores, and I get the assist. But you're the one that passed it to her. You're like, what is this?
Hockey assist.
And then you see them playing, just toying with competition. Because I've seen James Harden get assists when all he did was dribble the ball past half court and throw it to one wing or the other.
And Russell Westbrook's crushing it with the assist.
I'm with you, but his team was winning. His team was winning when it was just him and KD. His team was winning when it was just him.
Well, he's up there. That's why I got him as 2.
His team was winning when it was just him.
I got him
no
as 2.
matter who they were playing. And as soon as he's out and it's KD,
I got him as 2.
He needs to come back.
I got him as 2. I just gave you why he ain't won. That's Steph Curry.
LeBron for me.
We'll leave it there. What in the play-in?
They are incredibly dangerous because they have the guy that is the greatest shooter God ever created, and the guy that I believe is playing the best basketball of anybody in the NBA right now is Steph Curry. At any given moment, he can drop 50 and win a game for you. That's why they're dangerous. 100% again. I believe that's hyperbole. I don't believe it for 1 second, but he could be talking about, I'm not going to be 100% again this season. I'm looking at the fact that Rondo is no longer there. He's on the other sideline with the Clippers. Even though Dennis Schroeder, the bottom line is they're better offensively with him on the court, but porous defensively when he's on the court. They're better without him defensively. Kyle Kuzma, it's like bipolar disorder for crying out loud. He's scoring 1 minute, the next thing you know, he disappears for 3 quarters. I'm very concerned about the Los Angeles Lakers from that standpoint alone. But then when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, what is there to say? Utah, Phoenix, the LA Clippers, the Denver Nuggets, Portland, you can't sleep on them. Dallas, you can't sleep on them. With Luka averaging 29, 9, and 8. My God, there are reasons to be concerned about the Los Angeles Lakers. And right now, I am officially in panic mode that the Lakers might not even make it out of the damn play-in game.
Wow, the defending champs. Max, where are you on this?
It is panic time in LA, but I don't think it's because of the play-in game, Stephen A., because the odds that they would lose 3.5 games in the standings are slim. So if they do play in the play-in, it will be play-in games, plural. And I don't believe if they were to lose to the Trailblazers or the Warriors, whoever they'd have to play in that first game, that they would then also lose to either the Grizzlies or the Spurs, whoever they'd have to play in that second game. So I think they will be, I'm confident in saying, if LeBron and AD are playing, they will absolutely be in the playoffs. But here's the thing, guys, and this is why it's panic mode. This is why it's panic time. I don't see how they get out of the first round right now, and I'm a Lakers fan. How do they get out of the first round? Because if they do play a play-in or two in order to even get there, or even if they don't, let's say they hold on to the seed they are presently holding on to, they play the Clippers in the first round. Like if they play in the play-in, depending on where they wind up, 7 or 8, they're either playing the Jazz or the Suns in the first round. Those teams have chemistry. They're in lockstep. You're going to just throw everybody together and beat one of those teams? And don't let it be the Clippers. I think that's the worst matchup, Stephen A. Kawhi, they've been load managing again. Maybe not to the extent that they once did, but they're load managing again. He can't play full quarters. In fact, Ty Lue is complaining about how it's messing up rotations and stuff. But he'll be ready. And Paul George will be looking for redemption. And they got Rondo and everyone else you just mentioned. How are the Lakers, who don't have Schroeder until the end of the year, who are even playing without Taylor Horton Tucker? I mean, talk to Lakers. They'll tell you we didn't have a point guard or anything resembling a point guard. No LeBron, no Schroeder, no THT. AD goes down, obviously an ankle. No, back spasms. What? How are the Lakers going to get out of the first round? The first round, that's what I want to know.
Well, listen, that's a reason to be concerned. Let me tell you something. You shouldn't wish for that, though, because that should make us all sick to our stomach. The fact of the matter is that we are owed an encounter between the Lakers and the Clippers with a conference title on the line, and the person that owes us that most is Kawhi Leonard. He is the face of the franchise. He is the star. He is the two-time NBA champion, the two-time NBA Finals MVP. You know what? He came to L.A. with the crown dangling from his convertible, from the mirror on his convertible, driving down the highway in L.A.
He is from California. LeBron's from Cleveland.
I understand all of that, but he came there as a champion, basically saying it's a new sheriff in town. Mm-hmm. That was his attitude towards LeBron, who hadn't made the playoffs in his first year as a Los Angeles Laker. So LeBron shows up last year. They get through the first round, the second round. They are waiting for the Clippers in the conference finals, and the Clippers had a 3-1 lead and folded like a cheap tent. Bottom line is that Kawhi owes us this encounter. The problem is the Clippers are living up to their end of the bargain. The Lakers at this particular moment in time, albeit due to health reasons, that is not the case. And I think that's a damn shame. By the way, as an aside, can we stop this noise, these people questioning, asking the coach in the press conference, stuff like that? LeBron James wasn't sitting on the bench. He's in his 18th season. He's 36 years of age. He's a reigning defending champion. When healthy, the brother doesn't take days off. He doesn't miss games. And people are sweating the fact that he wasn't sitting on a bench in street clothes. Grow the hell up and make sure we start asking coaches some sensible questions. I don't give a damn where LeBron is. I don't care if he's on Rodeo. I don't care if he's at Venice Beach chilling. I don't care if he's at a massage parlor for crying out. I can care less where he's at.
Well,
as long as the brother is ready to play, as long as he's there when it's time to play, I'm good with it.
Max, right? I just want to make sure you both heard that.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I think those questions are pertinent. I think they were good questions, and I think the answers are interesting. Where's LeBron? Is it a medical reason? He said, no, he's just not here. That's 2 games. Now, we may look into that, and I might have even followed up. Coach, is that because the feeling is he needs to do everything in his power to get back physically? Why isn't he here, right? Like that sort of thing. But I do think it's relevant, and I'll tell you why. The Lakers, Stephen A., need obviously LeBron or AD, or there's no chance for a championship, or even to get out of the West. But I want to get back to the Clippers. You just said the Clippers owe us that matchup, and you're right. And I think the Clippers know it too. And who's the key on the Clippers? You keep focusing on Kawhi. Sure, he's the number one guy. He's the main guy. He's the guy who challenged LeBron. But except for Game 7, I don't give him a pass for that against Denver. Fourth quarter, Game 7, you got to show up. He almost always does. Not that game.
Yes.
It's Paul George who needs to step up, and everyone knows it. The Clippers are loaded. In fact, when I look at the Western Conference, the team I think that could give the healthy Nets big 3 the best run, is these Clippers. It's these